Well, hello and welcome to our backyard garden in the South Carolina upstate. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon, crystal clear skies. It is March 23rd, 2025. We just finished the front yard tour and we're going to do the backyard tour now. And as always, we start next to our garage here. Coming down the hill, we have, we should just call it Iris Hill, and we are getting a lot more of these white ones to start off the year, more than we've gotten in the past. These are always the first ones to come out, and then the bluish ones, the bigger bearded kind, come out a little bit later in the year. But these are doing really, really well right now. And we're gonna need to do some spring cleanup. We just haven't had time yet, but we need to get some of these hollies chopped back, and some of the other old growth still from last year, like these cleome. We need to get these cleared out. But one really nice weekend with a lot of energy, and we'll have that all taken care of. Got a daisy coming up here, and this will just look green until the end of the year, late in the summer, and we'll start to finally get some flowers out of that. This is our one of our early spring gardens here. You can kind of see the hyacinths having finished up, and then daffodils also having finished up. Just about done. Got a nice yellow knockout rose here. No flowers yet, but it's doing really well. Had some trouble last year. We put it in 3 years ago, and it's done well at times and not so well at times. Right now it's looking pretty good. We've got our hydrangeas here. These are the big white ones. We have 4 of them going back down the hill. The front yard has pink and blue. These are all white. A few more hyacinths here. Just kind of finishing up. Not a whole lot to show off at this point. A little bit of color left. Most of it's gone. They don't do so well once the weather gets hot, and today's about 75 degrees, so they're just about done. And here we have kind of a variation on a tulip. We don't have a lot of tulips in the backyard, but we have these very unusual hybrid tulips doing well, looking good. Got some Asiatic lilies just breaking ground, starting to grow. Those will give us big flowers late in the spring. And we've got a lot of digitalis here that have spread. We're going to have quite a few of these plants. Hopefully all of them will flower this year. We'll find out. And then back in here, we have a type of, I have to look back here. Ugh. Hard to see. It is a shrub arbusto. It's a type of viburnum, and it gives us these, supposedly, these little blue flowers and berries later in the season. We'll see how those do. Overall, they've been a little bit of a disappointment so far. We've had them for 3 or 4 years. Some more Asiatic lilies down here and here. Some creeping Jenny, this light green plant, just kind of a ground cover. Doesn't really give us any flowers, but they're really pretty. This is something right here. I'm really looking forward to this. Last year, we had this fully in bloom. It's a red knockout rose, bright blood red flowers, and then on top of it, draped all over it, is a large white clematis. And you get the red and the white together, and they really, really look nice. So I'm looking forward to those. Now I look closer, we have some lilacs that are starting to give us their buds. They're not quite blooming yet, but they're looking good. We've got back on the fence here, we've got some more clematis growing different areas. They probably need to be trained a little bit, but basically doing very well. Some more hyacinths finishing up, and right around those are a bunch of daylilies coming up. This area is usually pretty heavy with daylilies later in the season. Some more digitalis here starting to grow, and we've got the first of 6 azaleas. Not doing a whole lot yet, but these will give us some nice purple flowers a little bit later in the spring. Over here, the one white viburnum that we have in the backyard. We showed some of those in the front yard, even though I was struggling with the name. This is the only one of these in the backyard. It's getting close to blooming in another week or two once these buds open up. Big tufts of white flowers, absolutely beautiful. Can't wait to see them. And as we come back here, one of few hyacinths that's still fully in bloom, giving us some nice colors. Same thing over here. And then some of our late spring, early summer plants, these lamb's ear. I've talked about these a lot last year. They're just breaking ground. And then a number of other things. Again, some more daylilies, azaleas. And as we come around, more or less the same thing here. We have a lot of irises, lamb's ear, daylilies back in here. Up against the fence, we have a lot of climbing roses, azaleas, all kind of the same thing back in this area. Now this plant over here, I've been calling these gardenias inaccurately. And again, I'm forgetting the correct name, but they're not gardenias, they're something else. And I just struggle with that. We've got a few others that are still blooming. They've been on kind of a delayed timetable this year because of the cold winter. And so normally they bloom from late January into mid-February. And this year they started in mid-February and still blooming now. I'll show those off a little closer in a moment. But here is one of our biggest knockout roses. Bright red flowers when the time comes. This was eaten down to the ground last year, but it has come back with a vengeance. So I'm looking for great things on that this year. Back in here against the fence, we have a lot of jasmine to go with the climbing roses, and then a whole bunch of clematis as well. So you can kind of see back in here, clematis are starting to give us buds. So it will not be too much longer before we have some color in here. And jasmine will come out a little bit later, late spring. And here, more of these red flowers from the plant that I cannot remember the name of. Very tropical looking though, doing very well. Big pink climbing roses here on our trellis, and they've come all the way across the top. Now we have both climbing roses and jasmine up there, but once everything is fully out and fully in bloom, and we have everything's completely covered with color, mostly red and white and purple, so they'll be quite a sight to see. I do need to get new flags, or unfortunately the winds, probably just Hurricane Helene enough in September was probably enough to put tears in our flags. So I need to get new ones of those ASAP. Don't want to show any disrespect to our flag, of course. Here we have a little different species of the unnamed plant. This one's doing particularly well. Another one over here, similar flowers. Probably one more week of these, and then they'll be done, I think, for good. And then these little miniature daffodils here, just about the only daffodils left. They come out a little bit later, but they were just about finished with those. Here we have some Asiatic lilies just starting to come up, just breaking ground. The wind took our hammock over. I'm gonna have to right that before too long. A big butterfly bush back in there, not really doing a whole lot yet other than leaves. And then another one of our hyacinths that's still with us, probably its last week too. Beautiful pink flowers here. And our daffodils over in this area largely finished up. We have a few still blooming, again, probably their last week. And that'll be an end to those. And I think last year we had daffodils lasting into April and May. I don't think they're going to make it out of March this year. Now here we have weeping cherry. Last year it really didn't give us too much in the way of flowers. This year it's doing really nicely. We're getting some beautiful flowers, and I think we're going to get quite a few more because there are a lot of buds still yet to come out. So it's finally living up to its name, and it keeps growing bigger and bigger. It's about twice the size it was when we put it in 5 years ago. So I think eventually we'll get some really nice flowers out of that as it gets bigger and more advanced. Over here, our summer flowers are just kind of sitting, not doing a whole lot right now. Have some irises coming up, but I am seeing over in here some of these canna just starting to break ground. Have not been overly impressed with our canna. Unfortunately, they have given us a lot of greenery without a lot of flowers over the years. So I'm not the world's biggest fan of them, but got a lot of jasmine that's kind of come over into this area. We'll have to cut those back. A lot of daylilies, a lot of dead stuff still from last year too. We'll come take a quick look over here. Last time I came down to the water's edge, it was still very cold. The one thing that I have been looking at, I put in some water lilies last year. I'm not sure if they're gonna do anything or not. Still a little early to tell, but the water looks really clear. And come on out here just take a quick look. I don't always do this. Seeing a lot of fish, even some dragonflies right there. A lot of little fish, little minnows floating around in the pond. And we do get some fishermen out here. There are some bigger fish, but I don't usually see those. I usually just see the little tiny ones. So lots and lots of those, along with the turtles and everything else. A lot of daylilies over in here, some more irises. And we'll come on up this way and head back up towards the house. Not a lot going on there. That's more of a midsummer garden. But we'll show what we've got coming up. And over here is our tea olive. These are fully in bloom, and I could smell these from about 50 feet away. Very fragrant. It's not the sweetest smell in the world, but it's pleasant in its own way. And with all the greenery, they have done pretty well, except for this one, which has struggled, although it's actually looking a little bit better this year. Certainly got plenty of flowers on it. So I think it's going to survive. I think it's just going to be a few years behind all of its brothers and sisters here. And then we have several tea roses, I should say. A lot of irises back in there. Really nothing that's all that impressive. We do have some strawberries. You can just kind of see the greenery of those. They're actually getting some flowers on them already, so we may have some berries. We haven't had a lot of berries over the years, but they're interesting to watch nevertheless. Got some lilies here. We have a lot of calla lilies that come up a little bit later in the year, and then don't know how they'll do this year. They're not here yet. Then we've got a couple of lilacs here. This one is not really doing much yet other than flowers, and then it has a clematis draped across it. This one is giving us a lot of buds. This is the same type that I showed off earlier over on the far side of the yard. So these will bloom first. We'll see what comes of those. They were supposed to bloom twice a year, once in the spring once in the fall, but they really did not live up to that billing, unfortunately. Back in here we have a couple of our huge hosta populations. These get a little bit bigger each year, and we have another one over here doing the same thing. And then we have some what appear to be coreopsis, I believe. These little yellow flowers coming up pretty early, and then another one of these gigantic climbing roses with the tiny little pink flowers that are not quite there yet, but they will be before long. This thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Lots of daylilies back in here as well, a couple climbing roses, some more clematis growing amongst all of this. So there's going to be a lot of color here before long, but it'll be a few weeks yet, probably more like May, before we have much to see. And then over in here, this is an area where we get a lot of cleome. The stalks that are still standing up there are from last year's cleome. I just haven't cleared them out yet. We need to do weeding and a bunch of other things, but overall, they're doing pretty well. And so that's our garden for the moment. As of the end of March, we still have one more video in March before but anyway, that is our garden for the time being. Hope it is sunny wherever you are with crystal clear skies like this. And until next time, happy gardening.